I never imagined my life would fall apart so quickly. After 18 years of what I thought was a happy marriage, my wife Stephanie took our daughter's entire trust fund and ran off with her lover. I was completely devastated until my 15-year-old daughter Lily looked at me with determined eyes and said, "Don't worry, Dad. I took care of everything." I had no idea what she meant until 2 days later, when my wife called screaming hysterically. Before I tell you what Lily did, drop a like and subscribe if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted. Where are you watching from today? Let me know in the comments below. I met Stephanie during my sophomore year at Washington State University. I was immediately captivated by her beauty and confidence. With flowing auburn hair, striking green eyes, and a magnetic personality, she stood out in every room. Coming from a wealthy family in Seattle, Stephanie had everything I did not. I grew up in a modest home in Portland, with parents who worked multiple jobs to put me through college. Despite our different backgrounds, we connected instantly. Our romance blossomed quickly. We spent hours discussing our dreams and ambitions. I wanted to become a software engineer, while she aspired to work in high-end real estate. After graduation, I proposed on a rainy evening at the Space Needle. She said yes, without hesitation. We married in a beautiful ceremony with close friends and family, and Lily arrived just a year later. Life seemed perfect. I secured a position at a growing tech company, where I climbed the corporate ladder through dedication and long hours. Stephanie built her own impressive career, selling luxury properties. We moved into a spacious home in a nice Seattle suburb and focused on creating a stable future for our daughter. When Lily turned 5, we started a trust fund for her college education and future needs. We contributed monthly, watching it grow steadily. Then 4 years ago, my parents passed away within months of each other. They left their modest savings to Lily, significantly boosting her trust fund. By last year, it had grown to $250,000. We felt proud, knowing our daughter would have financial security and opportunities we had worked hard to provide. This trust fund is Lily's future, I would often tell Stephanie. With this money, she can attend any college she wants or even start her own business someday. Stephanie always agreed enthusiastically. Absolutely. Nothing is more important than securing Lily's future. Looking back, I should have noticed the first warning signs about 6 months ago. Stephanie began arriving home later than usual, explaining she was showing properties to important clients. She started taking weekend trips with what she called industry colleagues for networking events. When home, she grew increasingly distant, spending more time on her phone and less time engaging with Lily or me. One evening, while preparing dinner, I tried addressing the issue. "Is everything okay? You seem preoccupied lately." Stephanie barely looked up from her phone. "Everything is fine, Elmer. Work is just demanding right now. This market keeps everyone on their toes." I suggested we consider marriage counseling to reconnect. Maybe we need some professional guidance to help us communicate better. Her reaction was unexpectedly harsh. "We do not need counseling. I do not have time for that nonsense. If you feel neglected, maybe find a hobby instead of clinging to me." Her words stung, but I convinced myself she was simply stressed. I doubled my efforts to save our marriage, planning date nights and family activities that she increasingly found excuses to miss. Throughout this period, my relationship with Lily became even stronger. At 15, she displayed remarkable maturity and intelligence. She inherited my aptitude for technology, excelling in computer science at school, and often helping me troubleshoot complex problems at home. We shared a special bond, spending weekends working on coding projects or hiking in nearby mountains. Lily was perceptive enough to notice the changes in her mother. One evening, while we were working on a programming challenge, she cautiously brought it up. "Dad, is Mom okay? She seems different lately." I put on a brave face, not wanting to burden her with adult problems. "Your mom is just busy with work, sweetie. Real estate can be stressful sometimes." Lily nodded, but did not seem convinced. She never asks about my coding projects anymore. And she missed my debate competition last week. She wanted to be there. I lied, remembering how Stephanie had claimed a last-minute showing prevented her attendance. "She is very proud of you." Lily gave me a look that suggested she understood more than I realized. "It is okay, Dad. We have each other." Those words would take on new meaning sooner than I expected. May 15th was supposed to be a special day, Lily's 15th birthday. I had taken the afternoon off to prepare a surprise celebration. I picked up a custom cake from her favorite bakery, decorated the house with balloons and streamers, and wrapped her gift, a specialized graphics card she had been eyeing for months. When I arrived home around 3 in the afternoon, the house was eerily quiet. Stephanie's car was not in the garage. Initially, I thought nothing of it, assuming she was out running last-minute errands for the party. But as I entered the kitchen, my heart stopped. There, placed prominently on the granite countertop, was a white envelope with my name written in Stephanie's elegant handwriting. With trembling hands, I opened it and began reading words that would shatter my world. Elmer, by the time you read this, I will be gone. I have not been happy for a long time. I have been seeing Jack, my business partner, for the past 4 months. He makes me feel alive in ways you never could. I need a fresh start away from the monotony our life has become. I have taken money from Lily's trust fund to begin my new life with Jack in California. I know this will hurt you both, but someday you will understand. I had to do this for my happiness. Do not try to find me. Tell Lily I love her. Stephanie. The room spun around me. Disbelief, betrayal, anger, and heartbreak collided in my mind. My legs gave way as I collapsed into a kitchen chair. How could she abandon our family? How could she betray not just me but our daughter? With shaking fingers, I pulled out my phone and logged into our joint banking app. The devastation deepened as I confirmed what Stephanie had confessed. The trust fund account showed a zero balance. All $250,000 gone. Transferred out just yesterday. Frantically, I searched through recent financial documents. In our home office, I found transfer authorization paperwork with what appeared to be my signature, but I had never signed such documents. Stephanie had forged my signature, committing fraud against our own daughter. The dual betrayal crushed me. Not only had my wife abandoned our marriage for another man, but she had stolen our child's future. Questions flooded my mind. How would I tell Lily? How could I ever make this right? Had our entire marriage been a lie, I sat in stunned silence for hours, unable to process the magnitude of what had happened. Then I heard Lily's key in the front door. School was out, and she was home expecting her birthday celebration. Instead, she would receive the worst news of her young life. "Dad, I am home," her cheerful voice called out. "Wow, balloons. This looks amazing." She bounded into the kitchen, her backpack still slung over her shoulder. Dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, eyes bright with excitement. Then she saw my face. "Dad, what is wrong? Where is Mom?" I struggled to find words that could soften the blow. There were none. "Lily, sweetheart, sit down. I have something difficult to tell you." With my voice breaking, I explained everything. About her mother's affair, about her leaving us, about the stolen trust fund. I expected tears, screaming collapse. But Lily's reaction stunned me. After an initial flash of pain across her face, she became oddly calm, almost stoic. "Mom has changed," she said quietly. I knew something was wrong. "You knew?" I asked, surprised. Lily nodded slowly. "I saw texts on her phone a few weeks ago when she left it charging in the living room. Messages from someone named Jack. They were inappropriate. I did not know how to tell you." She reached across the table and took my hand in hers. Her next words shocked me further. "The trust fund does not matter, Dad. We will be okay without Mom and without that money." Her maturity in that moment humbled me. Here I was, the adult, falling apart, while my 15-year-old daughter showed remarkable strength. But the hardest part was still to come, the long night ahead, without answers, without closure. That evening, after a simple dinner neither of us could eat, I tried repeatedly to reach Stephanie. Each call went straight to voicemail. I considered contacting the police, but quickly realized there was little they could do. Stephanie was an adult who had chosen to leave, and without immediate proof of the forged documents, the financial aspect would take time to investigate. Sleep eluded me completely. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying our marriage in my mind, searching for signs I had missed, warnings I had ignored. Around 2 in the morning, I heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Then Lily appeared in my doorway, holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate. "I could not sleep either," she said, sitting on the edge of my bed and offering me a mug. We sat in companionable silence for a while, sipping our drinks. Then Lily spoke words I would soon discover held far more meaning than I initially understood. "Do not worry, Dad. I took care of everything." "What do you mean you took care of everything?" I asked, searching her face for explanation. Lily gave me a small, enigmatic smile. Just trust me, Dad. Sometimes the youngest people can see solutions adults miss. I assumed she was simply trying to comfort me, offering emotional support in her own way. Given the circumstances, I appreciated her attempt to ease my pain but did not take her words literally. How could a 15-year-old possibly address such an overwhelming situation? Thanks for being so strong, Lily, I said, hugging her. But this is a complicated adult problem. I will need to talk to a lawyer about the trust fund. The next morning, I called my friend Thomas, who recommended Gary Thompson, a lawyer specializing in divorce and financial fraud cases. I secured an appointment for that afternoon and asked our neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, to stay with Lily after school. Gary Thompson's office exuded professionalism with dark wooden furniture and walls lined with law books. The attorney himself was a balding man in his 50s with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "I am terribly sorry about your situation, Mr. Walsh," he said after I explained everything. "Unfortunately, these cases are not uncommon, though the trust fund aspect adds another troubling dimension." "Can we get the money back?" I asked, the question that had kept me awake all night. Gary leaned forward, hands clasped on his desk. "If your wife forged your signature on legal documents, that constitutes fraud. The bank should have verification procedures for such large transfers. We can file for an emergency freezing of assets if we can prove forgery." "What proof do I need?" "Bank records, copies of the forged documents, any communication suggesting premeditation. We will also need to file for divorce immediately and include the financial fraud as part of the proceedings." My stomach lurched at the word divorce. Despite everything, finalizing the end of my marriage felt like another failure. "I understand this is overwhelming," Gary continued, noting my expression. "But time is critical with financial matters. The longer we wait, the harder it becomes to recover assets." I nodded, forcing myself to focus. "What about legal fees? With our savings depleted, and now this trust fund situation." Gary offered a sympathetic smile. "Given the circumstances, we can work on a contingency basis for the financial recovery portion. For the divorce proceedings, we can arrange a payment plan." I left the office with a folder of paperwork and a heavy heart, but at least I had taken the first step toward addressing the practical aspects of our crisis. What I did not expect was how quickly events would accelerate from there. Exactly 2 days after Stephanie's departure, my phone rang while I was preparing dinner. Lily was doing homework at the kitchen table. The caller ID displayed Stephanie's number, sending a jolt through me. "Should I answer it?" I asked Lily, my finger hovering over the screen. Lily looked up from her textbook, an unreadable expression crossing her face. "Put it on speaker." I accepted the call. "Stephanie." What followed was a torrent of hysterical screaming that made me hold the phone away from my ear. "What have you done?" Stephanie shrieked. "How could you do this to me? All my accounts are frozen. The bank will not release any funds. The hotel is threatening to kick us out. Jack is furious." I stood dumbfounded, unable to process her accusations. "Stephanie, I have not done anything. I just consulted a lawyer today." "Liar," she screamed. "The bank said there is a federal investigation. They mentioned fraud and tax evasion. They said the request came from your email 2 days ago. How did you act so quickly?" I glanced at Lily, who was watching the phone with an oddly calm expression. "I honestly do not know what you are talking about," I replied truthfully. "I have not contacted any banks or federal agencies." Then how Stephanie demanded, her voice breaking. "Jack is threatening to leave me here. He says I promised him money I can no longer access." A cold realization washed over me as I looked at my daughter's face. The slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth told me everything. "Maybe you should ask your daughter." Stephanie spat venomously before hanging up. Silence filled the kitchen. I slowly placed the phone on the counter and turned to Lily, whose homework was now forgotten. "Lily," I said carefully, "what did you do?" My daughter straightened in her chair, suddenly looking older than her 15 years. "I protected us, Dad." She reached for her laptop, opened it, and turned it toward me. "I have been monitoring Mom's activities for the past 3 months. I knew something was wrong when she started password protecting her phone and taking it everywhere, even to the bathroom." She clicked through several folders, revealing screenshots of text messages and emails between Stephanie and Jack. "I installed a tracking app on her phone when she was sleeping. I know it was wrong, but my instincts were screaming that something bad was happening." The messages displayed explicit conversations about their affair, but more disturbingly detailed plans to access Lily's trust fund. When I saw they were planning to take my college money, I started preparing. Lily continued, her voice steady. I created an email address that looked like yours, with just one character difference. Most people would not notice it. She showed me the email address elmer.walsh@gmail.com instead of my actual elmerjwalsh@gmail.com. 2 days ago, when I found Mom's note, I immediately sent emails from this address to our bank, the IRS, and the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. I included evidence of the forged document screenshots of Mom and Jack, discussing the plan and recordings I made of their conversations when they thought I was not home. I stared at my daughter in disbelief. You did all this without telling me? Lily nodded. You were devastated, Dad. I needed to act quickly before they spent the money. I requested an emergency freeze on all accounts connected to Mom's name or the trust fund. I submitted evidence of forged signatures and tax fraud. But how did you know how to do all this? Remember those cybersecurity courses you encouraged me to take online? They covered more than just coding. Her expression softened. Plus, I am your daughter. I have watched you solve problems my entire life. The FBI actually called back, Lily added, pulling up an email. They are taking this very seriously because it involves fraud across state lines. They already contacted the California authorities where Mom and Jack are staying. I sat down, heavily processing the implications. Lily, do you realize how serious this is? Your mother could face criminal charges. My daughter's eyes hardened in a way I had never seen before. She stole my future, Dad, and she broke your heart. Actions have consequences. In that moment, I realized my child had grown up overnight. While I had been paralyzed by emotional pain, Lily had transformed into a formidable defender of our family. The weeks following Stephanie's frantic phone call were a whirlwind of legal meetings, bank discussions, and emotional processing. The full extent of Lily's actions became clear as various authorities contacted us about the case. The FBI had indeed taken immediate interest, particularly because Stephanie and Jack had crossed state lines with fraudulently obtained funds. Their financial crimes unit froze not only Stephanie's personal accounts but also several newly created ones in California where portions of the trust fund money had already been transferred. Agent Reina Garcia became our primary contact, a no-nonsense woman with sharp eyes and a reassuring manner. During our first meeting, she expressed impressed disbelief at Lily's actions. Your daughter's documentation was extraordinarily thorough, she told me, while Lily sat beside me trying not to look too proud. We rarely see such well-organized evidence packages, even from professional investigators. Jack abandoned Stephanie almost immediately when the money disappeared. According to Agent Garcia, he had fled their hotel the same night as Stephanie's hysterical call to us, leaving her with the unpaid bill and a brief note saying he did not sign up for this kind of trouble. Stephanie's fall from grace was swift and complete. With her accounts frozen, credit cards canceled, and facing potential federal charges, she had no choice but to return to Seattle. She called repeatedly, alternating between tearful pleas for forgiveness and angry accusations about our vindictiveness. One rainy afternoon, she appeared unannounced at our doorstep. I barely recognized the disheveled woman before me. Her designer clothes had been replaced by wrinkled jeans and a plain sweatshirt. Her perfectly styled hair hung limply around her pale face. Please, Elmer, she begged. Call off the investigation. Tell them it was all a misunderstanding. We can work this out as a family. Lily appeared in the hallway behind me, arms crossed firmly across her chest. Stephanie's eyes darted to her daughter. Lily, sweetheart, I am so sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I never meant to hurt you. Lily regarded her mother coolly. You did not make a mistake, Mom. You made a series of calculated decisions. You chose Jack over us. You chose money over my future. Those were not mistakes. They were choices. The maturity in Lily's response left both Stephanie and me momentarily speechless. Then I found my voice. You should talk to your lawyer, Stephanie, not us. This matter is now in the hands of the authorities. But where am I supposed to go? Tears streamed down her face. Everything is frozen. I have nothing. For a brief moment, I felt a flicker of the compassion I once had for this woman. Then I remembered the cold calculation of her actions, the betrayal, not just of me, but of our child. That is not my problem anymore, I said, quietly closing the door. Through Gary's legal expertise and the federal investigation, we eventually recovered most of the trust fund money. The bank, eager to avoid scrutiny about their lax verification procedures for the original transfer, expedited the process of restoring the funds to a new secure account with Lily as the sole beneficiary and me as the trustee. Stephanie was charged with multiple crimes, fraud, forgery, and theft. Facing overwhelming evidence, she accepted a plea deal that included restitution probation and a 6-month jail sentence. The woman who once feared being seen in anything but designer clothes now wore an orange jumpsuit in county lockup. Throughout this ordeal, Lily and I focused on rebuilding our lives. We sold the house filled with painful memories and moved into a modern apartment closer to my office and her school. The space was smaller but felt more like home than our previous house ever had. Slowly, I began to heal. The initial shock and devastation gave way to anger, which eventually mellowed into a determined resolve to create a better life for Lily and myself. I joined a support group for people dealing with betrayal trauma, finding solace in the stories of others who had survived similar experiences and emerged stronger. Lily thrived in our new circumstances. Rather than being traumatized by her mother's betrayal, she seemed empowered by her own actions in response to it. She channeled her interest in cybersecurity into more formal training, enrolling in advanced computer science courses and joining her school's coding club. Her teachers marveled at her focus and abilities. She has a natural talent for systems, thinking her computer science teacher told me during a parent conference, and a surprisingly sophisticated understanding of digital forensics for someone her age. I could only smile thinking of how those skills had already served our family in ways her teacher could never imagine. Our father-daughter relationship deepened through shared experiences and new traditions. We established Friday night movie marathons, Saturday morning hikes, and Sunday coding sessions. We talked more openly about everything, including the painful subject of Stephanie's betrayal. During one of our hikes in Discovery Park, with the Puget Sound stretching before us, Lily asked a question that had clearly been on her mind. "Do you still love Mom, Dad?" I considered carefully before answering. "I love who I thought she was. I love the woman who gave me you. But that person does not exist anymore, perhaps never did. So no, I do not love who she turned out to be." Lily nodded thoughtfully. "I feel the same way. Like I am grieving someone who was never real." "That is exactly it," I agreed, impressed by her insight. "But the love between you and me has always been real. That is something we can count on." She smiled then, the genuine smile I had worried might disappear forever after her mother's betrayal. "We make a pretty good team." The best I confirmed, putting my arm around her shoulders as we continued our hike. 1 year after Stephanie left, our lives had transformed completely. The divorce was finalized with the judge decidedly unsympathetic to Stephanie's claims given the criminal charges against her. The trust fund was fully restored and better protected than ever. I had even started cautiously dating again, meeting a kind kindergarten teacher named Julia through a colleague. Lily excelled academically, particularly in her computer classes, and was already talking about studying cybersecurity in college. Her experience had shaped her career aspirations in an unexpected way. "I want to help people protect what matters to them," she explained when I asked about her newfound passion. "Not everyone has a tech-savvy daughter to catch the bad guys." On quiet evenings, I often reflect on everything we have experienced. The betrayal that could have destroyed us instead made us stronger, more resilient, and ultimately closer. Through the darkest period of my life, my child became my teacher, showing me the power of decisive action and unwavering loyalty. Sometimes the most devastating storms bring unexpected gifts. Stephanie took my trust, but Lily taught me the most valuable lesson. Never underestimate the strength and wisdom of a loving heart, even when it belongs to a 15-year-old. True family stands together through anything, and real love can overcome even the most heartbreaking betrayal. If you have ever experienced betrayal or had someone surprise you with their strength during a crisis, share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else going through something similar right now. Hit that like button if this story touched you, subscribe for more real-life experiences, and share this video with someone who might need to hear that even after betrayal, healing is possible. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember, sometimes our greatest challenges reveal our greatest strengths.